Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Well, we're going to take a minute to explore the absolute lunacy that we are dealing with. We have many people who are part of this so-called resist movement who truly want to say that those on the right or people who voted for Donald Trump are racist, sexist, homophobic, misogynist, violent, whatever kind of term that you can come up with, when they themselves are absolutely the violent ones. They're classless. They're taking tacks that, for instance, they're attacking Barron Trump, which it's always kind of been an unspoken rule that the kids in politics are off limits because they didn't ask to be put in that position. So this is just one example of what we're dealing with. Here we've got an SNL writer, Katie Rich, allegedly tweeting. I mean, we say allegedly, it's because she deleted her Twitter account, so it's not up there. But she tweeted out a joke about Barron Trump on the day of his father's inauguration. Here it is. It's so hilarious. She says, Barron will be this country's first homeschool shooter. Oh, hilarious. So she went on to delete her account, maybe even her entire social media presence from what we can tell. And also another thing, Rich's name wasn't on the credits last night after SNL aired, or Saturday night, excuse me. So we don't know, was she fired, or, that's likely the case since, of course, the entire social media thing has been taken down. But it's interesting to see how, these people, like we have women that were really empowered after this women's march going on, leaving the march, thinking that they can attack people and get them kicked off airplanes. Like they rule the world now. And also, too, that you can just tweet totally tasteless jokes and think there isn't going to be any repercussions with your employer. So many people even calling for assassination of President Trump. Things like that. You just can't do that. Even Madonna, who thinks that she's, runs the world, she's even getting looked at by the Secret Service for what she said about blowing up the White House. But here's another Comedy Central writer who's calling 10-year-old Barron Trump a date rapist to be. This is Steven Spinola. He's a writer for Comedy Central. So here's another guy who just, oh, that's so hilarious. Barron Trump's going to be a very handsome date rapist, because rape jokes are always funny, right? I mean, here's the left always talking about rape culture and how but it's okay for them to do it. It's okay for them to be racist and inappropriate. It's just not okay for anyone else, because they're not racist because they have black friends, I think. But we also have, protesters linking up with ISIS. Imagine that. So there are actually photos up. Paul Joseph Watson has the article. So this is an anti-Trump protester, and he's trying to intimidate Trump supporters who are inside of this bar in Washington, D.C. And he goes up to the window and he's displaying an ISIS flag on his phone. Now, let's all recall that when we're hearing about the police going and doing these raids in Belgium and other countries, and they're raiding these jihadists' home, the first thing they see is they go to their cell phone, they have ISIS flags on their phone, they have ISIS beheading videos on their phone. So here we have this little Antifa jerk-off, and that's exactly what he has got on his phone. So he's standing there at the window, holding up a photo of the ISIS flag on his phone, showing it to people inside through the glass. Then he comes back and he's pointing his fingers at the people through the window like that, like I'm watching you. And then he alerted security at the bar, but who knows if anything happened to this guy. He then comes back and shows a video of an ISIS beheading on his phone, as if to taunt the people who are inside the bar. I'm surprised those people inside the bar didn't get out and beat this kid's butt. But this is really interesting, because we reported on the fact that in December 2015, ISIS has actually written in its own manifesto of how it plans to recruit members of these far left groups, since both groups share broadly the same goals. Just like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's why we have ISIS linking up with the drug cartels in Mexico. So this was from the December 2015 manifesto. It's a section called European Muslims Allying with Left-Wing Activists, and it states that jihadists and left-wingers will start to work together in small cells of groups to fight and sabotage against the financial elites. So it goes on to point out Many of these people, who are sometimes part of anonymous and anarchy movements, will ally with Muslims to fight against the neo-Nazis and rich politicians. They will give intelligence, share weapons, and do undercover work for the Muslims to pave the way for the conquest of Rome. How will this happen? If you've ever been at a pro-Palestine, anti-Israel protest, you will see many activists who are not even Muslims who are supportive of what Muslims are calling for, the fall of Zionism. It is most likely here that connections between Muslims and left-wing activists will be made. A portion from them will realize that protests are not effective and that armed combat is the alternative. So they will start to work together in small cells of groups to fight and sabotage against the financial elite. So it appears as if, some members of the Antifa, the anarchist communist group that was out there in D.C. causing mayhem, sounds like they are already open to that possibility. So, this is what we're dealing with here. People, open your eyes, you never Trumpers and you resistors. This is who you're linking up with. In fact, one of the organizers behind the Women's March, who would not allow conservative pro-life women to officially take part in these women's marches, Ashley Beckford, as you saw earlier in the show, she was actually attacked for being a black woman in a Make America Great Again hat. She's not allowed to have an opinion. Her opinion as a black minority woman, Trump supporter, doesn't matter. But the leader, one of the organizers behind this group, is a woman, a Muslim woman, Linda Sarsour, who is actually campaigning and calling for Sharia law to be allowed in the United States. She says it's a shame that the United States doesn't allow them to practice their religion and have Sharia law in their communities. But she also recently met with an ex-Hamas operative. He's an alleged operative, but she's out there taking a picture with Salah Sarsour on. She says that they're not related, but this is a guy who was jailed in Israel in the 1990s because of his alleged work for the terrorist group Hamas. She pictures with other people, but this is one of the organizers behind the group where women are like going and putting hijabs on in the Women's March, which is like a symbol of oppression and of subservience. I mean, by its nature, if you're practicing Sharia, then you agree that women are a lower class, okay? Regardless of what they want to tell you, no, you're covering yourself, and it's, because you want to be modest and everything. Sure, that's a part of it, but on the other hand, it's also very subservient. It's not about the ladies out there who are topless, and that's the massive amount of freedom you have. It's totally Wally World, completely backwards, and now you have these little jihadist Antifa kids setting fire and busting into businesses. We've also got video of an anti-Trump protester setting a Trump supporter's hair on fire. Take a look at this video. So to these peaceful protesters, this is what democracy looks like: targeting people, being a bigot, setting their hair on fire. And ironically, right before they did this, they were all chanting, "Love Trump's hate." So this is what I'm talking about. These people are mental. They're saying, "Love Trump's hate, so now we're going to beat your ass." We are completely insane, and we're letting you know that. But maybe there's a little bit of saving grace here because, like I mentioned, we have these people leaving their march thinking that they run the world now. We have this video of an elderly woman demanding a Trump supporter move seats. He's not allowed to touch the armrest. He's so disgusting to her. And look, she gets kicked off the plane.
You pretend you have the moral high ground, but you put that man's finger on the nape of your butt. That man doesn't believe in climate change. Do you believe in gravity? Did you know gravity is just a theory?
Country treats you greatness. I've been there for 20 years.
Ma'am, we're waiting on you.
I'm American. You're a citizen.
So guess what, girl? You don't run the world. You don't just get to walk out and start belittling men just because they're men or just because they're Donald Trump supporters. Now, one of a really great street artist, Sabo, met these anti-Trump agitators with his posters. They're totally awesome. Trump giving the 2 middle finger salute, and the tagline, "No one takes this protest seriously because every 20 minutes for 8 years, Obama dropped a bomb and you said nothing." Boom. Well, that's going to do it for the show tonight. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you here again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central.
In case you haven't heard, Infowars has become the most influential media outlet in America. We're making freedom go viral. And now we are proud to announce a new weapon in the epic battle against the globalists. Infowars Prime, where you can watch live high-definition feeds of The Alex Jones Show, plus exclusive insider videos from the Infowars crew and behind-the-scenes action. Go to Infowars.com/app and download today. Infowars Prime is available right now for your iPhone or Android. You will have access to exclusive videos that you can't see anywhere else. And that means live coverage of events and breaking news on location as it happens. You can also take advantage of amazing deals from the Infowars store that are only available for Infowars Prime subscribers. That's Infowars Prime at Infowars.com/app. And if you can hear my voice, you are the resistance.